Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I'm joined by...
James the Wildcard.
Matt the Clown.
You did all at the same time, all craziness.
Oh, God.
How's everyone doing?
Might be dying, actually.
Might be dying.
Yeah, I'm really sick, and, I don't know if the Fearless Gamers are aware, I've had pneumonia 3 times in my life, and, right now I'm experiencing symptoms that are very similar to the last time I had pneumonia. And I went to my doctor on Friday, and he was like, "Oh, hey, you're clearly sick. You're running a fever. You can't breathe. I can see that. But I'm going to prescribe you a whole bunch of stuff for your asthma, and then I'll give you a little bit of an antibiotic because I see you have a minor ear infection." And I wanted to slug him. Yesterday I was feeling a little bit better. Today I feel like it got a little bit worse, so I'm really concerned because I'm supposed to be going to Disney and Universal Friday through Monday of this coming week. And yeah, but if I end up getting worse tomorrow, I'm probably going to have to go to the ER, and I'll probably have to be there for 3 to 4 days, which will completely screw up everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's no fun.
That's been my weekend. That's why I'm staying in all weekend, and why I'll probably either mute my microphone or you'll hear lots of loud coughing from my side.
That's fun.
How are you guys?
Cold.
Yes, James here is very cold.
Yeah. Being that live in Pennsylvania for school, we've been out of power Wednesday because Pennsylvania apparently has no idea how to prepare for snow and ice, and goes, "Oh no," and we lose power. And I don't know much about PECO, which is the electrical company in Pennsylvania that supplies power in my area, but we all know stuff about LIPA and how bad LIPA was during anything. These guys, based because I've seen 0 trucks and I really haven't been able to get any type of clarification from anybody, these guys make LIPA look like a well-organized machine.
That's saying something.
So, since Wednesday without power, and I don't know if you guys have ever had the luxury of experiencing sleeping in your apartment when it's the same temperature as the outside minus wind chill. It's fun.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
camp.
it makes me think of, I think it was early last week, it was Monday and Tuesday, I think. Atlanta got a total of, 2.5 inches of snow over the course of the day. They got it over the course of the day. I've seen the photos. You can see the ground through the snow. People were abandoning their cars. There were 12-hour backups, on the road in and out of Atlanta, and a total of 13 people apparently died. Normally, if I'd been sitting at home when I was unemployed, I would have been like, that's horrible. However, my job currently involves a lot of things going in and out of the Atlanta airport. Another side effect of this 2.5 inches of snow was that all flights in, out, or through Atlanta airport were across the board canceled. This made 2 days of my job so hard I wanted to hang myself. So I happened to find, this is the first time in my life, guys, that I consider the death of 13 people absolutely hilarious. And I'm not ashamed of that fact. You're gonna have to bleep me on this one. Get your together, Atlanta. It was. I wiped my ass with that amount of snow.
Seriously.
That amount of snow is I sneezed that snow.
No, I
can't stop laughing at that.
It's
true, and then you get places like Madison, Wisconsin, which have been a solid block of ice for a month, and you can still get a flight in and out of there.
It reminds me of where my brother lives. My brother lives in Zebulon, North Carolina, and one day he gets a call that he gets a message on the machine that school has been canceled because there might be snow at 6 p.m.
There was one of my favorite photos I've seen that reminds me of. I saw it on Facebook. It was like you know, one of those red Solo cups. It was a photo of one of those on the ground with like a few ice cubes coming out of it, and the caption was "Georgia be like, school's closed," and it's super accurate. Like I put that amount of snow in my drink. Like,
yeah.
You know what's weird about it though, is that you can drive on 2 inches of snow no problem. Like
my car can drive in 2 inches of snow no problem.
Cars will cut through it, and the radiant heat on the road will melt that snow. Georgia, Atlanta just got shut down. They reacted horribly, and the thing is, people down south.
The problem was that no, go ahead.
People down south were like, "Yeah, well, you guys don't react very well to a hurricane," and my response was, "Yeah, but for us to get shut down, it takes a hurricane, not a snow flurry."
Yeah, it takes Sandy. Part of the big problem with the way Atlanta handled it was they sent everyone home at the same time. Like, they released all the schools, all the businesses closed, everything closed at the same time. So literally everyone in Atlanta was on the one road in or out of Atlanta at the same time. Meanwhile, I drive an SUV. I can drive in like 7 inches of snow and not have a problem. So once again, here's the thing, it wasn't like it was an accumulation of 2.5 inches of snow. It was a total of 2.5 inches of snowfall over the course of the day. So the total accumulation of snow on the ground at any point was maybe an inch tops.
Yeah, and like in Pennsylvania we got snow. We got snow on Long Island as well, but I had school on that big snowstorm, and they let us out early after like 7 inches of snow had fallen. I drove no problem on very not plowed roads at all in my car.
Now, the one time we got the one snowstorm here that was pretty bad, I tried to go to my other job because my other job was offering a deal you couldn't really refuse from them to go into work that day. And my car I've got a little Chevy Aveo. My thing is so light that if there's a car that drove before me, I become a theme park attraction. No matter which way I want to go, I go in the direction that the snow treads are going. And my car was fine through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so bad, and it turned it into The Walking Dead on the left, basically.
Basically.
Like, it actually, if you look at the photo of the traffic jam, it actually looks like the opening of The Walking Dead.
Exactly.
Like,
and it's just
all the cars are stopped, and like some are in ditches, and it looked like that one. It looks like the traffic jam you see in every zombie movie, game, comic. Like, you see that same traffic jam in The Last of Us.
Yep.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, fearless gamers. If you're in Atlanta, I get it. It's not something that happens every winter, but I got to say, your city, state, whoever made the decision to declare a state of emergency for 2 inches of snow should be fired.
Yeah. Exactly. Because
it's something you don't see every day, but I just can't believe what I'm hearing about this.
Like, listen,
it's shocking.
It took Pennsylvania to have almost 700,000 people without power to declare state of emergencies in a couple of counties, okay? So...
By my understanding, incidentally, the people in Atlanta kind of agree with us, in that a lot of people in Atlanta are completely, blaming the way the government handled things, and they're absolutely right.
That's why apparently he might have to go to the ER tomorrow. Which sucks for him because he's got a trip down to Disney for Valentine's Day.
But yeah,
he's not sure.
Yeah, what was I saying? Before we were so rudely interrupted. It's the government kind of screwed the pooch, and the average Atlanta citizen is not to blame. So I'm not blaming the people in Atlanta. I'm blaming the state of Atlanta, which is basically the government of Atlanta.
Yes, the guys calling the shots for your state.
Right. Whoever runs Atlanta
That's who we're trash talking.
But
Yeah, President Atlanta, what do you do?
It was a bad call.
And he should feel bad.
Yeah.
Very
but
bad.
On the flip side, Pennsylvania, where's my power? That's what I want to know.
You want to know where your power is? I'm trying to bring famous actors back from the dead. So I borrowed all of Pennsylvania's power.
Gotcha. Well,
why would you do that? Which actors? Which actors? This is an important question. Which actors?
A couple of them. I can't disclose names because I don't want people to know what graves to dig up and check security footage. But I will say there's some good ones in there that I think the world will be happy that they're back.
It better be all good ones. I don't want you bringing back anybody bad.
Oh no! I won't bring anyone bad. I mean, why would I bring the bad ones back?
Because I don't trust your judgment. I think you're going to bring nothing but bad ones back. I think you like bad things.
But I know that the bad ones would just be zombies. You know, the good actors will actually be like non-zombies.
I'm not sure that's how it works. I'm not sure that's how it works.
I tested it with science.
Okay, well, if he tested it with science...
I don't think he has science.
I know an
actual
actual scientist.
Like,
I got a dude, he had glasses, scientist, okay?
This isn't a Godzilla movie.
It is a Godzilla movie.
No, it isn't. You're not talking about raising Godzilla, you're talking about raising the dead. Zombie movies work differently.
Well, kind of. I mean, some of them might as well work the same way.
Yeah, if you really think about it, with the new Mechagodzilla, wouldn't that be considered pseudo like a cyborg zombie because it was made out of like the bones of the first Godzilla?
It's more of a deathlock. It's a large scale deathlock.
Okay.
If you're at all familiar with Deathlock from Marvel Comics.
Not entirely, but I get what you're saying.
It's essentially like they took a dead like psychotic murderer and they reanimated him with technology, but like there's still rotten bits sticking out, and turned him into like a government assassin thing. But then he turned into a superhero. It's one of the weirder like 80s concepts.
Yeah, it's
not
like
everything.
Technological revenue. It's like a technological revenue. Or a technological,
thing.
But
I actually had some gaming news that I got excited for. You've heard of the Star Wars X-Wing miniature game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, they announced a couple of new fighters, and I'm very excited for all of them. I'm not planning on buying all of them because some of them are really expensive, but they're all pretty cool. They announced the Corellian Corvette.
Okay.
The medium transport from Hoth, the first transport is away thing. Most people are more excited that Porkins is going to be with him. The Stay on Target guy.
Yes,
and
Porkins.
Yep. And the ones that I'm excited for is a new wave of figures, which is the E-Wing, the Z-95 Headhunter, which is the prototype X-Wing, and the TIE Defender, and the Phantom B-38 TIE Fighter. Which are two of the cooler looking TIE fighters in my opinion, aside from the Interceptor.
Yeah, the Interceptor is top.
Yep. So I'm excited to see those guys in action. I definitely plan on picking those up when they come out.
But they're so expensive. Oh my god.
No, only the transports, only the big ships. Like the Corellian Corvette is $80, which isn't too bad, but for a game that's $15 a model, that's a little pricey for me. And the medium transport is $60, which isn't too terrible.
No, I mean, in all honesty, it's really not that bad. I mean, it's like we talked about in the previous podcast. You don't need it. No, you don't need them. You got along without them before. It's more of a want type of thing.
Yep.
But that's cool.
Yep,
that's cool.
And Privateer Press has announced a new Epic Warcaster for Signar. They're giving Stryker a new Epic form, which I might pick up because Stryker is pretty cool and he kind of fits the theme that I'm going with. And they introduced a new faction.
Another one?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure because I can't find a lot of info on it, but I think it's a Hordes faction. to counteract the convergence of Cyrus.
Okay.
But I couldn't find much information on it. I did see a lot of pictures. They kind of look pretty cool. They're not really sure, like, a lot of it felt like it took some ideas from other factions and kind of meshed them together. But it's neat. It's good to see that Hordes is, getting another army to balance out the Warmachine side of it.
That's alright. It's always good. I mean, I always like the idea of factions, provided they're well thought out and not just,
yeah, just there to make money.
Yeah. Now, one thing though is you said there's a new epic striker or whatever.
Yep.
Is there any new? Do people play with non-epic anymore?
Yes. Because what happens is you set a points level, and certain casters work better with certain units and builds.
Yeah.
And the epic casters, I think the biggest difference is when you have an epic caster or any caster at all, they have bonus points that they put into the army. Those bonus points have to be used on jacks to be put into their battle group.
Okay.
So, the higher level your caster, the more points he generates, that's more points you have to put into a jack.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you're getting extra points, but it has to go into jacks. And as far as I'm aware, jacks, unless your warcaster is really, really good with them, is not always the best choice.
Right, but I was just curious because every time I hear like epic level this or feat that, it feels weird to me,
It is a little weird. It used to be different where epic casters were both parties had to agree on them, and now you don't need to.
Right, now what was the elf faction again?
Something Retribution.
Yeah, something Retribution. I don't know. I thought that was like, I'm trying to think of different factions in Warmachine and all that.
That one, when I saw it at first, I was a little confused because I haven't read the recent fluff.
Yeah.
But when I saw them, I was like, I thought all the elves were dead. Because that was like a whole thing that Gorshad kind of basically performed mass genocide and kind of screwed the whole elven people over and basically brought them to the brink of extinction. And that they were gone.
I don't know why, but their like jack stuff reminds me of Evangelion.
Yeah, they kind of look a little Ava-ish or Angel-y.
That reminds me, Matt, Clown Matt. Are you do you like Evangelion at all?
No, can't stand it. Absolutely hate it.
Okay. How about Gundam at all?
I like Gundam Wing and G Gundam. As far as that goes.
Alright,
if you want to talk about mecha, you know that okay, but I'm just saying, as far as mecha goes, Big O. That's pretty much it for me.
Big O!
Well, Big O is... I consider Big O in a class of its own. Because it's just so...
I know.
It doesn't fit in with anything else, and it's awesome.
It doesn't need to fit in with anything else.
I know.
Big O was a good show. I enjoyed that.
I had a conversation about Gundam and Evangelion, and what would you rather pilot? And I was curious if anybody had input on that.
If I had to choose between Gundam and Evangelion, I'd go with Gundam.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of a robot that, if its arm gets severed, I'm sitting there thinking my own arm has gotten severed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not even it for me. I thought Evangelion was... I didn't love the designs, and I thought it was, like, really heavy-handed with the contrived plot that it had.
Yeah.
And I didn't like any of the characters. They were all just bad people.
Surprisingly, it's because of Evangelion that we now have at least one whiny, emo-y pilot in Gundam now.
And I can see
because there was a show called Gundam X, and it was really, really good. But near the end, it had like 5 episodes left and was canned because the ratings dropped because everyone was like, why isn't the main character more like Shinji?
Yeah, no, he really kind of screws the pooch a little bit, but
Yeah.
But, like, no, I agree with Gundam. I'd rather pilot a Gundam thing because, A, while I'll watch Evangelion, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I don't like the designs too much in comparison.
If I had any big problem with the Evas, it was the fact that their batteries only last for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that...
You would figure the defender of the city, the thing that's the only thing stopping these evil giant angels from destroying all of humanity, you would have put in a bigger battery.
Just develop just develop a different weapons platform that doesn't require a battery. Like just have some weapons around the city that you can launch at these awful things. Like just turn your city into the Death Star trench run.
That was better.
Go flip, you know.
Yeah, I just think the Gundams look better, like any of the Gundams.
Well, yeah, that too. I didn't really like the way the Evas looked.
Yeah, and
granted, I don't love the way most Gundams look either, but.
I always enjoyed Eva, but if I had the choice between mechs, I would pick a Gundam over an Evangelion any day. Because I like the show, but I just don't think I would trust that mech to save my life.
Me either. Now, I'm not trying to turn into Gundam, but I think I was watching more of Destiny, and I think you'll understand better why I have a dislike of Destiny, and it's not even a Gundam thing, it's a too many characters thing. Like, you have the Minerva and the Archangel and all the characters from both, and like 15 million Gundams and Gundam-esque things, and it's just like, there's way too much going on in that series. Which is a problem of I can't remember other show names, but this in general, like when you're skimming shows, it's just got too much going on character-wise. Like, I like character development and cool characters. The way you just shove characters in people's faces is like, whoa, let's relax a little bit here, okay? I gotta, digest this character.
One of the things I think I hate the most, which is, inevitable because main characters and all that jazz. But what I dislike is when an anime brings in a new character and they go, holy crap, he's the most famous, dude of all time, he's undefeated, no one can beat him, and after he's introduced, he becomes the chump. That's why there's some shows that I really like, because even though the character may degrade in importance, but their capabilities haven't changed, they're still good at what they do, but I hate it when a show introduces this awesome dude that cannot be beaten, and then he ends up, losing every fight he's in because, he's not the main character anymore.
Yeah, and Destiny, they didn't do that, but they introduced that character who piloted the Yellow Goof, and he dies, 2 episodes later. It's like, well, there you go. But the other problem I have real quick is that, obviously Shin and the Destiny are the main character, main Gundam of the show, but there's such a heavy influence on Kira and the Freedom, and he's kind of it's his show again. But that's that was just annoying.
I think that was more of their ratings were dropping, so they had to throw back Kira in to get the ratings back up.
Now, I want to go back to when we were talking about movies a little bit, and the dead actors and whatnot. I think we can all agree that we're fans of practical effects and practical, props and whatnot over the CGI stuff for no reason.
Yeah.
I think that, CGI has its place, but I think we all enjoy actual physical props and whatnot. And I was thinking the other day, because without power, all I had to do was drive around and charge up things. So
you're basically reenacting that lottery commercial where the girl's thinking about pizzas?
Yeah, in a way, I guess. But,
you
ever seen that commercial?
Now I want pizza.
You never seen that commercial, James?
I don't have TV. Not because of power, I don't have cable.
Well, it's this commercial where this girl's walking in this giant park, and she goes, pizzas are circles, but the slices are in triangles.
Oh yeah, I know this.
And the box is a square.
I do remember that. Now, I was just thinking, because, I'm learning how to fix cars and trucks and whatnot. Looking at all these parts, I'm such a nerd. I'm like, man, just make an awesome movie prop for a blaster, or just to make an awesome car.
You would. You absolutely would.
Car things look really good for props. Dragon Canyon Cheering looks like a ray gun. it's a little bit heavy. But if you're trying to make a movie on a budget, you can just go to a junkyard and strip some broken pieces. You got like ray guns and like different like sensors and stuff like that. They're gonna be heavy, but you can then cast that or do whatever you want. the nerd me was like, man, look at that ray gun. Pew pew pew.
Speaking of practical effects, I was shocked to discover that Michael Bay actually knows what a Dinobot turns into.
I wasn't.
With the power of Google, I'm not shocked.
Well, this is Michael Bay we're talking about, the man who left a presentation because his teleprompter was not right.
Well, he's not the one designing these robots. Like, he's just doing the directing of the film, correct?
I think because he produces it, he can decide what they look like.
He probably saw a robot dinosaur and went, "That's metal as hell, let's do it." Like, I don't think he knew, I just think he recognized how awesome the concept is.
I mean, it is pretty metal, I'm not gonna lie. My thing is this, I like the Transformers movies. I don't care.
The only one I dislike is the second one.
I enjoyed watching them. I thought it was cool. Is it out there that you have these, autonomous living robots that transform into vehicles? Well, of course, that's Transformers.
It's no more out there than any other movie.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's just, I feel like the Dinobots in a movie in that regard is going to be a bigger pill to swallow, just because they didn't really have to explain it in the 80s. But now
they did.
People want they didn't, but didn't really have to. Now people want like concrete explanations in movies now. And
those people can just shut up.
Yeah, I know.
Those people are jerks, and they don't know how to enjoy themselves.
And they don't know how to suspend their disbelief.
Exactly. But he did seem a bit big for me. But the movie, it looked awesome.
Oh, it's weird, because if you watch, like, the original movie, his height changes drastically.
Well, let's pump the brakes there. The size changes in Transformers are legendary. You got big triangle hand-sized pistol for another.
I'm just saying, like, there's sometimes where like, there's one scene where Rodimus, or Hot Rod at that point, is able to look Grimlock directly in the eye because of how tall they are to each other. But then in another scene, Grimlock is like 5 stories tall, so I don't think should be an issue with their looks in this movie.
No, yeah. That is true. Like, the Transformers Generation 1 stuff and all that had a really, and even through all the cartoons, had a really bad problem with scaling.
So I'm not too upset if he looks so big that Optimus Prime can ride him. I can live with that.
Yeah.
The one thing that I can't live.
I think it was awesome. It was like robotic Jurassic Park in that scene. But
the one thing that I'm kind of this is just like me being a fanboy nerd thing. The one thing that I can't stand is that we have yet to get the theme song in the movie. I want the theme song in some way, shape, or form in the film.
I just can't wait to see this film because I like robotic stuff, and that one scene with that green dude with the parachute just going backwards and blasting things sold the movie for me. I don't even know who it was. I don't care. It was awesome. And if they resurrect Starscream, I'm going to have a fanboy moment.
Well, they clearly resurrect the Megatron.
There's one movie that I am more stoked for than any other, though, at this point.
That is?
That is Godzilla.
Yes.
I cannot properly express... Because, listen, the movie could be complete garbage at this point. But the design for Godzilla is so hyped from what I've seen that I'm going. I'm seeing it twice.
When we went to see Desolation of Smog, after that trailer appeared, I turned to Elena and went, "Okay, we can go now."
I got a question for you though. Now, I watched Godzilla. I enjoyed it. I'm not as big a fan as you guys are. I have a question in terms of, is this the biggest Godzilla yet, height-wise?
He certainly looks pretty huge, but
yeah. I don't think he's that much bigger than any other incarnation.
Hold on, I saw hold on, Godzilla size chart. There we go. I saw the Godzilla size chart the other day, so I'm looking it up. Because I do remember, I don't remember if he was included. Godzilla through the years. Yes, he is. According to this chart I'm looking at now, he is the largest incarnation so far.
Yeah, I was just curious because in the trailer, when they got this guy's Halo jumping in, he seems really, really big.
Yeah,
he is big. He is big.
I'm happy with. I like the bigger the better.
I'm curious to see if they what would be really cool is if they throw in the other monsters, because King Ghidorah is supposed to be a lot taller than Godzilla. It'd be cool to see his height scale.
I know he's supposed to be up against another monster in the film.
Yeah, it's supposed to be from what I've read. I don't know how true it is. From what I've read is it's a series of bioweapons that go crazy, and the only thing that could stop them is Godzilla.
Now,
that could be cool.
That would be cool. Now, I have to confess here. The beginning of that trailer, up until I saw it was Godzilla, the trailer was great, but it felt like a setup for I don't want to say I was more interested until I saw Godzilla. That wasn't necessarily the case, but the whole Halo jump into this desolated city, it was cool, but it had me set up and set me for a loop that I was expecting something else and not Godzilla when I saw Godzilla.
It certainly it didn't sell itself as a Godzilla trailer until you see Godzilla himself, and I think that was the best way to do it.
Yeah,
because it puts your head in the same place that those guys sky jumping in are in, because it's just you're thinking it's going to be something else, and they're sky jumping in, not knowing what's going on, and then you and the guys kind of see Godzilla at the same time. And you just kind of go, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't good.
Now, his size may be a bit big, but this is what I want. I want a Godzilla Pacific Rim crossover.
I would love it. I would actually... I would do a lot of awful things for that to happen. I really would. I would harm some good people.
Just the general gist here is the original Godzilla was roughly 50 meters tall. And from eyewitness reports at the 2013 San Diego Comic-Con teaser, the new one is reported between 120 and 150 meters tall.
Yeah, that's the chart I was looking at.
Yeah, which is pretty big. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
But, I would love, if they don't do a crossover, I just want another Pacific Rim movie. I don't care what they fight.
He did, if you read when you listen to the commentary, he kind of implies that he's thinking of doing a sequel.
Yeah, I would love to see a sequel. I don't care about nothing. I want to see a sequel to Pacific Rim,
Jaegers.
Tomorrow.
Right?
I loved when I was watching the commentary track. He was talking about, and he says something that I've always agreed with, and I'm sure a lot of you guys always agreed with his he was talking about how the kaiju battle between the kaiju and the Jaeger in the city, how he used CG, but he also used practical effects because he always felt that practical effects and CG would make the perfect combination, because you need the practical effect to get the physicalness of the device, and the CG could be used to create the realism of its presence and all that, and it was great.
Oh, yeah,
I think
half the stuff that he was talking about, the scene where the cars are flipping and the kaiju's walking through the city, apparently the cars were actually rigged to flip, and then they just animated the kaiju to work in the timing with the car flipping.
That's
I don't think he's the first one to have done that.
No, I didn't say he was the first one to do it. I said he talked about this theory that I kind of always agreed with.
Yeah, it's absolutely the truth. It's not even a matter of opinion. That's just the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that takes more time and more effort and possibly more money, so a lot of people don't bother.
Yep, it's
Those
sad.
people are assholes.
Yeah, now, look at the original Transformers when you got Bone Crusher running through the road to tackle Optimus, and all that practical effects, and when Starscream lands on the car.
Well, even Bone Crusher, I think, the Devastator was was a practical effect when he was in tank mode.
Yeah, no, he was, and having practical things there, even if it I can't remember exactly what movie this was at all because everything's a wash in my head right now. But the practical effect of this prop, you could tell it was a prop and it wasn't, the most realistic looking thing. But it looked more real. But the fact that it was there, if they would do it in CG, it would feel less real,
Yeah, I feel like with a practical effect, when you see it, you go, okay, I see this thing, and you can tell how it feels. Like, if you could go, okay, if I touch this right now, it feels slimy, it feels cold, it feels rubbery. But when you see the CG thing, you're like, I don't know what that thing's supposed to look or feel like.
CG is very sterile. CG is a sterile special effect. It can be. It's by rights. I mean, even though you can make it look, you can get that feel usually because of sound effects of, let's say, something slimy and squishy. But when you look at it as a model, as a CG thing, just without sound, it's sterile. Where even without sound on a practical thing, it just has that extra weight to it for being like a real thing. I think one of the best examples is Iron Man.
I think in general that has to do with the Uncanny Valley thing.
The what thing?
The Uncanny Valley thing. When something looks too close to being real, it actually it feels more fake.
Right.
Yeah.
I think those two have to be related. Because even if something isn't actually real, the closer to real we get without it being real, the more we're gonna pull away from it because our brains just don't like it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
that's especially true for
CG has come to a point where we'll see it and we'll go, oh, that looks cheesy and corny and ew, it's so bad, when really it's some of the best special effects we've had ever. But it's just hitting that point in our brains where we're just like, I can tell it's not fake for reasons, but oh god, it's freaking me out.
Yeah, the brain doesn't want to accept that it's not there.
But also, I mean, that's true, and, but I think an example is that the new thing, whatever that movie is called, for the thing,
the prequel to John Carpenter's The Thing, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I don't know what its official title is.
The Thing.
I think it's just called The Thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's just called The Thing.
Its thing, while obviously leaps and bounds technology, to me, it wasn't quite as scary.
Yeah, I didn't really,
That's a case in which they should have gone with more practical and less CG. You can tell they did a little bit of practical, but not enough.
Yeah, half the time when the monsters were practical is when they were at their scariest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just there is that realistic looks of being fake, but not that it doesn't look good. It's just, to me, I just feel like we part of it is we haven't really reached that holographic, oh my god, is that actually real type of thing stage yet. But it's just, I just practical has some weight to it. And another good example of practical is practical explosions and practical blood effects. CGI blood just doesn't feel like when somebody gets shot in an action movie.
CGI blood is one of my least favorite things ever.
Yeah.
It takes so much away from it, but when you have the practical blood pack, it just looks so much better. And so much more believable. And CGI explosion as well, it's not the best. Just blow something up and record it.
Yeah. It's probably cheaper to blow something up, too.
Probably.
I'd be willing to bet it's probably cheaper.
Yeah. Because you have to pay the guy to make all the different model frames, render each individual piece, give them all the different coding for them to do whatever they do when they bounce around, make the backgrounds,
It's probably cheaper and quicker to blow something up than
for example, in our Rise of the Magi video, the blowing up of the Ramesses class Star Fort, that 10-15 seconds of footage took almost 5 hours to make.
Right. So it takes it's more time consuming and whatnot. Because to do CGI, know it up.
Versus taking a model, packing it with explosives, and pushing a button.
Right.
So it's not. That's why I like practical stuff. And when Iron Man first came out, and I heard it was a suit, like they actually made a suit for it, I knew. Not that I knew, but I had much greater confidence that it would be a pretty decent movie, at least visually, and be pretty good because he actually took the time to make a suit.
Yeah.
Instead of just having him green, wearing a green outfit and making a suit around it.
Yeah.
And that is, it's good to me. I enjoy seeing that people still go the practical way. Because when the big CGI boom happened, I was worried that it's like, well, there goes everything practical.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened, and I'm happy.
Thankfully. It hasn't happened yet.
No. Oh, what was it? The White Dwarfs, right?
Yes.
Real quick, and it just popped in my head. Being a subscriber, they actually mailed me the new White Dwarfs. I have one of the weeklies, and I have the monthly thing.
Oh, so you have the Visions and the regular one?
Yeah. And the monthly big Visions one, in the back, there's how to paint a bunch of different type of Tyranid things up. But
okay. It's
just Tyranids. It doesn't really go too in depth on how to do it. It's kind of like how the How to Paint book is, where it's like it shows you step 1, 2, and that's it. But it shows you different effects to achieve different colors and different ways of doing, let's say, carapace versus soft skin and stuff like that. So that's okay. But it's like 4 pages, maybe 6 pages of that or so. And then everything else, they don't go over. Now, they do go over some conversion stuff for, like the orc conversions that they had in there. They talk a little bit about that. But there really isn't much at all in terms of how-tos in that, which there should be more. Especially if they're going to show you, like, green stuff conversions and kit bashing. And they have the John Blanche thing in there. Now, personally, I think what he does is great. Like, the ability to mesh things together and have it look seamless and paint up his style. It's a very different style than what normal 40K is painted as. But I don't think it's that good. It's just not the style I personally enjoy. But if they're going to show off what he did, aside from saying, oh, he took this kit and mashed it with this kit, how he does stuff,
I've been, going through the quick thumb through that, I've gone through with both versions. I think the new weekly White Dwarf is going to be more of an interesting seller because that's where you'll get, some rules, some new intro things and stuff like that. Whereas I feel like the new White Dwarf Visions is just a giant photographic art book.
Well, no, it is. And the weekly one is of course going to be the more desirable one as a strategy because now you're going to be spending more money per month buying the weeklies. But
yeah, and plus, like I said, you don't want to spend $10 on the data slate just for the data slate. Spend $10 on this little booklet, get the data slate, and some other stuff.
Yeah, and another thing with it is, what's the word I'm looking for? It also not the word I'm looking for. It also has a how to paint up a dwarf. I'm like, why would you put this in your weekly when you could have put it in your Visions? But
because that sells the dwarf model.
Yeah,
and then it sells the paints for the dwarves.
You get a rule thing, and the weekly is definitely going to be more interesting. It's going to be a lot more tailored to specific armies, especially if they just get released and whatnot, which is cool. But the monthly one, I'm hoping that they're going to step up their how-to in that book because there's a lot in there, and they go over a whole bunch of stuff. But it's not. They don't go over it. They show a whole bunch of stuff and they talk blurbs about it. The thing that I don't like about the monthly, I didn't really notice it in the weekly. In the monthly, everything is done over in 3 languages. Where the original White Dwarf was printed, in English, and they printed one in this language. It's just like a universal monthly book. And I feel that because of that, it takes up space where they could have actually said a quick blurb on how to do the blue effect on the avatar, for example. Instead of saying in different languages.
I was ticked off that where he went, Timmy decided to just make him blue, and I was like, I can see that. How did he do it?
And then they say it in 2 other languages,
you don't know?
which I get. But which is a little
on
weird.
that front, with that, the only one thing, though, in the defense of, like, some of those pictures, some of those are models that were entered into contests that won and weren't made by the GW studio.
Right. And what's actually cool on the weekly, they have a thing, I believe it was the weekly, they'll correct me if I'm wrong, you could submit your own model as an email to them, and if they choose it, they'll email you, and they'll do a little blurb of, like, you know, customer models. I forget what they call it.
Yep, that was something they introduced in White Wolf when they revamped the whole thing.
Yep.
And I'm glad that they kept it, that they're keeping it going.
And so that I like that. That's something that it makes you feel more in touch with the White Dwarf because, hey, this is your model. You know, that would be one of mine because I'm terrible at painting. But it could be one of your models in the future for those gamers. But, so, I mean, all in all, I feel like the weekly will be interesting. The monthly, if the next month one proves to be like a crazy, how-to, like every page is packed, and this is a step-by-step for the Space Marine, step-by-step for a Imperial Guard, step-by-step for this crazy avatar, then I'll accept it. But if it's gonna go that route, it really isn't worth it unless, let's say, you are a Tyranid player. Then sure, pick up this monthly vision one because it shows you how much Tyranid. But other than that, it's really not worth it for the average just collector of the, you know, I'm subscribed, so I'm feeling I'm going to get the monthly ones, but it's just that it's not worth it really at this point, in my opinion, to like, just buy it for the sake of buying it. I mean, don't get me wrong, nice eye candy for sure, but it's just, is it worth spending money for that when I can go online to sites like Cool Mini or Not or other sites and go, that looks cool, and that was free.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, exactly. No money.
Did you guys hear about Sony ditching their computer company?
No,
no, I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
They're going to be selling the PC branch of their company to a Japanese manufacturer. The laptop group that they've had for a while, that Vivio or whatever it is called.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're gonna they're downsizing and branching out a lot of their company to make up for their losses. They're reporting a $1.1 billion loss in the fiscal year.
Wow.
That's kind of
and they're ditching like 5,000 jobs to try and fix the problem.
Well, I can kind of see that. I mean, the thing with PCs is that, you know, there's so many people that you can buy a laptop from and whatnot that if it's not making the money, get rid of it. It's not really like, I don't think anybody is going to cry havoc at not having a Sony laptop anymore because it's not like Mac where Mac makes Mac. You know, everybody makes Windows machines. So
yeah,
it's kind of like how Mitsubishi's kind of coming out of the car market because they do everything else in their home country that the car is just kind of an
Which also brings up, it's an interesting that they're doing that, even though, according to another fiscal report with them, the PS4 is still outselling, their projections. So the system is still doing well. The company as a whole, though, is reporting losses.
Yeah, so you cut and run. You cut and run from what's doing your losses. I mean, this is out there, but Caterpillar used to makes engines and construction equipment. They used to make engines and stuff for on-road highway equipment, like just tractor trailers, but they were being outsold. They didn't want to comply with certain things, so they just left the market. You know, if the market isn't where you're making a lot of profit, even though they were making money there, it was like such a small percentage. It was more fiscally responsible to just cut and run. So if a company is big like Sony can cut and run from the laptop, I mean, I think that's fine. I don't think anybody, you know, it's an interesting move, but it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah. It's just interesting. I'm just reading like the whole comments here on this article. How everyone's commenting about how Sony, you know, cut jobs when they start reporting losses, and how Nintendo cut their salaries of their board members when they were starting to lose money instead.
Yeah, but I mean, the salary thing is that could be nice, but in the end,
Yeah.
it's going to come down to somebody's job in both.
Yeah.
Both teams.
In the end, someone's losing money.
Yeah. It'll be better if that the people who have lost money than people who have nots. But
Yeah.
I could have sworn I saw something with regards to Forge World or something that something coming out, and I completely just bloop, mind gone. But
I do know that on our channel we reported that they did hint at a new Tyranid weapon that they're molding for something.
oh, not even the Tyranid weapon thing. But that does remind me, the Forge World weekly like blog post that they do or whatever.
Yep.
I think that's kind of cool. I like that they're giving more of like a hey, check this out type of deal.
Yeah,
That
and they kind of also are giving you like hints. Like they did announce on I think the second blog post that the Volume 3 of the Horus Heresy is in the print shop right now.
Yeah. Now, one thing, there is a new release model for Space Marines. It's like a Space Marine like Medusa or something like that.
Yes.
Does anybody have an idea on what that? Because I can't see any iconography on the models, but they're red, and I can't tell if maybe that's supposed to be like a Blood Angel model or if that's supposed to be something else.
From my understanding, it's just a Heresy Medusa that the Space Marines can have.
Yeah, I know, but when they're showing it off in a color scheme, and
Yeah, they always just pick a random color scheme half
well,
the
they
time.
don't. Not really, because when they showed off the other stuff, they painted it in Iron Warriors, kind of hinting at like they'll be one of the next legions. So I'm wondering what they're doing with this red color scheme.
Let's see.
But I don't know. I just like that. I like that Forge Rules more like.
Oh, there it is. The Legion Medusa.
Yeah. And again, you don't need to buy this. It just looks cool.
Very clever. They actually did not put any water transfers on them.
I know. So you can't tell what they're trying to do with it. It could just be red because it's red. Who cares?
Yeah.
Red
Could be
goes
Thousand
fast.
Suns.
Red goes
Yeah,
fast.
red does go faster.
Now, speaking of that, I don't know when orcs are going to get done, but I always look forward to seeing what they're going to do with orcs, because even though I don't really play them, even though I don't really see them too much, they just, out of all the armies in 40k, I'm calling it, they're just a fun faction. Like, everything about them, it just feels fun.
One thing that I miss with the orcs from back in 3rd Ed was that it just specifically said in their codex, if the model's painted red, it gets an additional d6 in movement. If the model's painted blue, it gets to re-roll rolls of a 1. Like, they gave it rules for it being painted.
Yeah.
Which is
I
cool.
love that.
Oh, step on a water bottle.
You okay?
But like, the orcs are always, I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't like competitive. I don't mean that, I don't mean fun as in not competitive. I just mean fun as in, even though I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of orcs, I always kind of smirk and smile when I see them on the battlefield, because it's just like fun.
Yeah, they're
to
amusing.
Yeah.
They're amusing.
Like, and,
Yeah, they're a fun army to play.
and play against, and they're also the ultimate, like, if you're gonna do like a 40k RPG, whether it's Dark Heresy, whether it's Space Marines, whether it's Chaos, whether it's Imperial Guard and Only War, you don't know what to throw against your players, just throw orcs against them. You can make up an excuse for orcs being anywhere. I mean,
Yeah. Orcs are also, you could also have orcs I think are also a great army where they're great no matter what theme you go with. Whether you go with the silly orc or the serious orc, they're always looking good. And they're always fun armies to build regardless of which type you want to go with.
that's true. And I don't know, they're just cool. I'm curious on who plays orcs that listen to us and watch us. Because
I know of 2 orc players at Brothers Grimm.
Because that is one army. Them and Orc Horde and Tyranid Horde are some of the most expensive armies to get into because it's so
Yeah. Those are one of those armies that if I didn't start playing them back in 3rd, I probably would not pick them up now because of just how many models I would need.
Yeah, it's just
Like, if I didn't, like, I'd only keep with the Tyranids if I didn't sell off all my Tyranids way back when I was in college.
Yeah. I don't know why that reminded me, but I got another random question.
Okay.
Pick your, like, what would you want to see? Because we talk about movies, we talk about games, and whatnot. Anything that you enjoy that maybe hasn't had a movie yet, or had a movie a while ago and like to see redone. What is it that you would like to see come back either on the big screen or as a TV show? Like done off, where it wouldn't just fall on its face. Like, what would you like to see done that way? Because the Warcraft is having a movie made that's still on the works. And there's a lot of like obviously comic book movies and things like that. But what is it that you enjoy?
Normally I would have said Daredevil, but it's getting a Netflix series, so wish granted. If I had to pick something right now, I guess it would be The Rocketeer.
That would be cool to
like
see.
Just with like the modern technology treatment, that would be really cool.
It would.
It's weird, but one thing that I'd be very interested to see is the Legend of Zelda movie.
That would be kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Like they did there was a CG test footage made for a proposed movie, and Nintendo was gonna do it, and then at the last minute, Nintendo said, we changed our mind, we don't want to do it.
That would be
I kind of support them just changing their minds, because the problem with the Legend of Zelda movie is you have a protagonist that either can't speak. But yeah, he never talks in the games. So if you want it to be properly like loyal to the source material, he can't speak.
Well, there's the argument with that is one thing is he does talk. It's just that it's done. He just doesn't verbally speak because the creator wants you to be Link, and if Link talks, then you're not Link.
But at the same time, if that's what the creator's going for, if a movie were to come out in which Link speaks normally, that would recolor everyone's perceptions of Link when playing any Zelda game, backwards or forwards, from then on in. Because from then on, a lot of people would just hear that voice actor's voice in their head for anything Link may be saying. It would change the game experience.
That is true. It's not like one thing I thought of, but I didn't.
So yeah,
Half-Life, because Gordon Freeman doesn't talk, and as cool as I think a Half-Life movie would be, I don't want to have somebody else's voice recorded in my head.
Well, it could. I mean, theoretically, that could be done. Just especially with Gordon Freeman, like. He never taught. They wouldn't give him dialogue because every time he's about to speak, something goes wrong and he's got to go fix it. And maybe every now and again, he just looks exasperated.
Right, but what I thought about, and it was a toss-up. I was originally thinking of Robotech, but Robotech it's not enough. I mean, it's good enough. I would really like to see a movie for BattleTech, a well-done, live action. Almost like Pacific Rim style, like Pacific Rim level of like special effects and whatnot, but for BattleTech. I would love that because some of their intros have got like MechWarrior 4, which is BattleTech. Intro is pretty good. The trailers for like the BattleTech Online and MechWarrior Online, I should say, were pretty good. And to see that in a movie where it's just a whole bunch of mechs blasting each other apart on the big screen would be awesome with the modern special effects and a movie budget. Come on. That's me. But I like that too much. So, wasn't there a talk of a Voltron movie?
That was a while ago.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool though.
I do know that the company that owned the rights to Voltron here, I believe it was the Fleet of Doom or the one just before that, but it kind of dive-bombed, and that's why they no longer do dubbing anymore, and they just do subs now, because Voltron didn't do as well as they hoped it would.
I think the problem is that, at least in America, there isn't as much of a market for Voltron as there used to be.
Yeah.
A lot of current kids and such would look at Voltron and be like, what is this nonsense? And at the same time, a new Voltron show would likely get the same kind of response from a lot of the old school fans, the nostalgia fans.
But, like, my brother, he used to watch that show religiously, and I went to him, I'm like, hey, do you know they brought out a new, movie, Fleet of Doom, where they got the original cast, and they got the original show to meet up with the American Lion show, and he's like, and? Like, he was very much, he didn't care, and this was someone who watched it every day
there's also
when he was
people
younger.
who are now immune to that kind of nostalgia as well.
Yeah.
But also,
So there's a lot of factors kind of up against Voltron right now.
it's true. It's kind of unfortunate because Voltron, again, the whole nostalgia thing for us is cool. But I can really see it. Like, the 90s are done with. And if the 90s was a weird time for stuff, where, like, everything was cool. And now it's very much not.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
So, we are just about out of time. So, fearless gamers out there, what franchise, show, movie thingy would you like to see get, like, a movie or TV show revamp now that we haven't seen in a while? And why? We'd like to hear what you think about that. And any other final thoughts before we leave, guys?
Nighty-night, keep your butthole tight.
Yeah, and I want power.
You hear that, folks? If any of you have any power to gain power for James, give it to him. He kind of needs it. So, thank you all for listening, and until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vet.
Matt the Clown. Again.
Saying, take care.
Bye.